All right, here we go, boys. Unfortunately, even though the Lions did not make it to the Super Bowl, we're going to do a Super Bowl week version of this. All right.
Let's go.
All right, here we go. Question number 1. Tonight, we will find out whether Eli Manning will be inducted into the next class of Hall of Fame players. Is he a Hall of Famer?
So 11th on the all-time career passing list in terms of yards. He's got 2 Super Bowl wins over the GOAT, Tom Brady, where he was the MVP of both games. He also quarterbacked 2 teams to the Super Bowl in an era where he was dealing with Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, to maybe a lesser extent, Ben Roethlisberger, Phil Rivers, Matt Ryan, peak Russell Wilson, and he quarterbacked 2 Super Bowl champions where he was the MVP. That's
Brett
enough
Favre
for me. Favre at the beginning, that's enough for me too. I'm in. He belongs.
I think 100% he belongs. I guess the real question is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? I'd have to look at all the players eligible for it. But yeah, I think he gets a bad rap. Some of it deservedly so. I mean, he threw a ton of interceptions in his career, like a ton, which kept his overall quarterback rating down. And that's the thing. You look at him as a career 84 quarterback rating, doesn't look all that good, but he's top 10 in every passing category there is with touchdowns and completions and yards passing. And oh, by the way, 2-time Super Bowl champ. And I'm not sure what more he was supposed to do to earn credentials of being a Hall of Famer. Who was he throwing to? Victor Cruz? I mean, this guy was pretty prolific at the time. I think he deserves to be a Hall of Famer. By the way, he was sacked 20 times during those 2 Super Bowl runs they had. 20 times in 8 games. That's a lot of times.
Yeah, all those stats, the yardage and touchdowns, all that stuff, that might be attributed to him just playing for so long because his actual record, regular season, was literally mid. 117 and 117, which is actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I do think he is a Hall of Famer, and it's based on his playoff record and playoff, just what he's done in the playoffs. I mean, you mentioned the 2 Super Bowl MVPs over the, GOAT. One of those was against an undefeated Patriots team, not just the GOAT, but that team was like the greatest team we thought we'd ever seen. And Eli Manning was the guy who, part of the guy, who beat him and won the MVP. So, like I said, based on his playoffs alone, I think his playoff record was 8-4, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 Super Bowl wins, beat the GOAT, undefeated Patriots team. I think that alone gets him in the first ballot. All right, question number 2. Apparently, the NFLPA executive director has come out and said that no one wants to play 18 regular season games. That's according to him and the players he represents. Do you believe him and the players?
Sure. For now. I mean, they don't really have to make a decision on this until 2031, I think, is when the CBA expires. And Goodell says they're not going to address it until that happens. It's what he says, too. I'll take them at their word at this point. But a lot can happen between now and then. You don't know how much money is going to be bandied about and being offered to the players if they were to expand to 18 games. But it seems like it's a long way away. We're talking at least 5 years.
I don't believe him. I think this is classic negotiating. I think it's another way of saying, show us the money. And, my grandfather had a saying he brought from the old country.
Oh.
Everything has its price. And I think that's the message here. Everything has its price.
I didn't realize Doug was related to the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
Yeah, that was his line, too.
Who knew?
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, sure you
It's
don't.
your grandfather.
Mm-hmm. Doug, I actually agree with you, though. Yeah, I don't believe them. I think 18 games is inevitable. They are just playing their cards right now. Yes, they have until 2030, but they can make a deal before 2030 if they come to an agreement on money, because that's, in the end, what it's all about. They didn't want to play 17 games either, guys. How many games are on the schedule right now? 17. Yeah, somehow money played a role into getting them that extra game. And the NFL wants this. And what the NFL wants, they get. They're putting out numbers right now. And personally, in my opinion, I don't really believe all of them that concussions are down, injuries are down. You know why they're saying this? Because they want to add an extra game. You don't say injuries are up and concussions are up if you're trying to add an extra game. So this is inevitable. There will be an 18-game regular season at some point, and the players will be compensated for it. There will be 2 bye weeks. We'll get rid of one of the preseason games. All right, Goodell said this week that he thinks that someday technology will be able to spot the ball. That technology will exist. Is this something you want if and when it's available?
Well, maybe. There's the idea of a hybrid system I could see working. What I can't see is that the entire field gets chipped and that every part of the human body gets chipped, because how do you determine when a player is down? That is some technology that is above and beyond what I can even envision. happening. But if you have a system where you can determine through video when a player is technically down and exactly where the football is, I don't mind seeing that, because that feels like it is something that they could define as best as possible, is a hybrid system where the human eye determines when the player is down and the chips in the football can determine where it should be spotted.
On behalf of the Bills Mafia, let's get this done as soon as possible. Look, I think this is a lot like the strike zone in Major League Baseball. When you bring the human element into it, umpires get it way wrong so many times, like way outside the strike zone. If you had it honed in, let's just do it as best we can. Even if you had the chip system, are you going to get it right 100% of the time? No, but you know what you're going to eliminate? All the egregiously bad decisions made by the officials on the field that spot it incorrectly, and then you get the call stands when they go to review and stuff like that, instead of just get it right. They can get it right with technology. Go ahead and do it. And now start worrying about the play clock.
I actually don't think they should do this when and if available. I do like replay, and I do like the advancements in technology that help make the game better and more accurate. But I do think that there should always be a human element involved, and that is just part of sports. I think in football, part of the human element is spotting the ball. It is ridiculous when you say it out loud, like there's billions and billions of dollars into this sport, and we have 65-year-old men running from the sidelines thinking where the ball stopped and landed. Like, yeah, I get it, but to me, sports is changing too rapidly, and I think it's for the worse for the most part. I want to keep this part of it in there. Sounds for
like
myself.
Khang's part of that conspiracy.
I'm open to it now.
Who got to you?
All right, yeah, exactly. If the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, guys, should they be considered the NFL's best dynasty of all time?
Not yet. They're getting there, though. I mean, what Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs have done under Andy Reid is incredible. 17-3 at this point, 7 straight playoff appearances. They've got 3 Super Bowl wins, a chance to win their 4th on Sunday, which would be amazing. But no, because it's still a long way to go to beat what the Patriots did in 16 out of 17 years. And 1 year they didn't make the playoffs, Brady was out for the season. They're 30-11 during that stretch, 6 trophies, and they had 3 straight. But I'll tell you what, winning on Sunday, though, 3 straight in 4 and 7 years is absolutely putting the Chiefs on the right path, but they still have a ways to go.
So I think it depends on what your definition of dynasty is, because I think when it comes to sports, there's all kinds of different, it gets used in a variety of different ways. My definition of a sports dynasty is a team that when you're in the middle of it, you just pen them in for the next year's championship. You think they're going to win the next championship, and I don't think that yet with the Kansas City Chiefs. Even though what I do think they are, I think they're an AFC dynasty based upon being to 7 consecutive AFC title games and 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls. But the best dynasty of all time to me is the Green Bay Packers, going back to predating the Super Bowl era. They won 5 of 7 titles leading into the first 2 Super Bowls. That to me is a better dynasty.
Jeez, I remember Briggs too.
This guy.
Jeez. All right.
Well, look, I mean, it is what it is. You asked when you ask a question that includes the term all time, am I not allowed to go back to all time?
Oh, no, you went back.
You went way back. All right. I'm gonna say it. Right? Recency bias and everything. I'm gonna say it is. No one's ever done 3 in a row. Okay, we know that. On top
Patriots
of that,
didn't they?
No, they didn't.
They didn't win 3 in a row.
No, they didn't win 3 in a row. Gator. Stats. Okay, on top of that, it would be 4 out of 6. Plus, it would be 5 out of 6. 7 straight AFC title games. I mean, to me, this is the greatest dynasty of all time. I don't think anyone will ever win 3 in a row again if the Patriots do it this year. So I'm going to say it would be. All right, James Harrison and Chad Ochocinco almost literally got into a fist fight during a Shannon Sharp podcast from Super Bowl this week. It happened yesterday, actually. Ochocinco was very adamant that he would kick Harrison's ass. Like, they were going to fight if people weren't nervously laughing and they're on camera as well. Guys, who do you think would win in a fight, Harrison or Ochocinco?
Okay, I'm sorry. If you saw the video and you saw what kind of shape James Harrison is in, I think there's only one man on the planet that could beat up James Harrison, and it's James Harrison. James Harrison would annihilate Chad Johnson. It would make Johnny Morton look competitive in the UFC.
Wow.
I'm not sure there's a current player in the NFL that could beat up James Harrison. James Harrison is still rocked up. No way is this a fair fight.
I don't know if you knew this. Chad Johnson is actually taller. He's 6'1" and listed at 180, something that in his playing career. He's probably close to 200 pounds now that he's moved on from his career, but he still works out. Chad Johnson is also rocked. That being said, James Harrison played defense in the National Football League. There's a whole different mentality when you're playing defense. And what they were arguing about, they were kind of joke. I forget who it was. It was the other guest on the show. Joey Porter, who said something like, yeah, but if he catches you.
Yeah.
And then Chad Johnson got really pissed off. He's like, nobody's talking about catching. And he's like, everybody's talking about the small and the size of the guy. I'm like, yeah, they're talking about the size of the guy because literally if James Harrison catches you and wraps his arms around you, you are donezo. He'd destroy you. I mean, I haven't heard anything about Chad Ochocinco being the next Michael Westbrook, being the karate man. That's a different kind of fight. But this is no. James Harrison is a whole different kind of guy.
So that's the thing. If this is like a regular street fight, yeah, James Harrison all day. He gets his hands on him. He gets to wrestle him to the ground. It's over. Ochocinco has done some celebrity boxing for what it's worth on these undercards of these, misfit fights and things like that. So maybe in a boxing fight, straight up, he could wear down Harrison and get his cardio going on. He is older, and with all that muscle, he would get tired quicker. But if it was just a straight up fight, Ochocinco's not like some black belt jiu-jitsu guy. So it's over if it gets to the ground, and most fights get to the ground. All right, last one for fun. Kylie Kelce, who is Jason Kelce's wife, she's from Pennsylvania. Huge Eagles fan. If she is in the Kelce family suite for the Super Bowl, is she allowed to wear Eagles gear?
Yes, but only because she's family. That's the only. I mean, if she were a friend of a friend who's invited, you can't do it. But because she's family and her husband played for the Eagles, I think you're allowed to do that. I mean, even Jason Kelce said, look, yeah, I'm rooting. I mean, he split hairs. I'm rooting for my brother, and I'm also rooting for the Eagles. I think she's absolutely allowed to because it's the Kelce suite. It's not like you're going into somebody else's suite.
Not up in here.
Oh.
You can do whatever you want, just not up in here. It'd create too much noise. Not allowed.
Yeah, I agree, Doug. No way. In fact, not only can she not wear Eagles gear, she can't cheer. She has to sit there in silence. Like, if you're cheering for the other team in our suite, get out. You can sit and watch with us, but you got to be silent. Pretend you're a member of the media at this point.
And that concludes the Wide 9 Omaha 4 Down Around the League Blitz thingy.